Ah, hello everyone. Sorry about that. I forgot that it went on to the next scene. So I am here. Now, I'm hoping that there's no feedback because we had a bit of feedback in the last session. So if there is any feedback, if someone can send me a quick text, but hopefully it should be all right now because I sussed out what was going wrong. Okay. So those of you that were at the live Q&A, just the last half hour, thanks for coming. It was a test one, it was the first one. And so actually having something go slightly wrong was good because then we learn, or I learned from that, and hopefully that won't happen again. I'm going to base the practice today on some of the questions that I didn't get round to answering, but I will be scheduling another live Q&A in a few weeks' time, probably a 40-minute one because half an hour was not enough for all the questions that I got. So without further ado, we're going to start with our invocation to Patanjali. Okay, so get yourself a support to sit on. And thank you to those that tried to contact me. I could hear my phone going, so I knew something was slightly wrong, but I couldn't pick up the phone. But yeah, thank you for letting me know there was a problem. So let's sit ready for the invocation to Patanjali. Bring the palms together in front of the chest. Close the eyes. Relax all the muscles in the face. Relax the lower jaw. Relax the tongue. Keep the outer shoulders rolling back, shoulder blades down and forwards. Back of the skull in line with the tailbone. And then we'll chant with 3 Om sounds. Take a deep breath in. Yogena citasya padena vajam malam sharirasya javaidyakena yopa karotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram shankachakra siddharinam Sahasra Shirasam Svetam Pranamami Patanjalim Hari Om. Maintaining the lift in the chest, bow the head down into the space of the heart. Exhale, release the hands, raise the head, open the eyes, extend your legs forwards. Okay, so let's start with Adho Mukha Virasana. So I'm going to use my bolster support for my head and make sure that the knees are going straight forwards, not splayed out to the side unless you're pregnant. But no, the knees should be going forwards, buttock flesh moving back and down. Extend the arms forwards and take the head down either to the floor or onto your lift. And just stay for a minute here. Quiet breathing, quiet mind, quiet body.
Now come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Check that your hands have not shifted, that you've got all the weight rolling from the little finger to the thumb. And draw the legs back, outer knees, outer thighs, outer hips back. And feel that thoracic trunk, thoracic spine moving towards the legs. Don't push the neck hard towards the legs. Let the head drop. Press the thighs back. Extend the legs from the gluteal crease down towards the heels. Top of the shin bone back. And then walk forwards for Uttanasana. Bringing the hands in front of the feet if you can. If they are not able to reach the floor, then put the hands on the shins for a moment and lengthen the front body forwards. And then bending the elbows, draw the trunk down, walk the hands back in line with the feet, or hold the backs of the legs, or put the hands on bricks. And then bring the hands to the hips and come up and stand up. Okay, we're going to take Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana first. So you can take yourself to a wall or a rope. I'm eyeing up my window sill there, but I think I'm going to take my foot to the wall so then I can adjust the height. So Utthita, standing, Hasta, arm, hand, Pada, foot. And the Gusta is the big toe, Angusta is the big toe. So we're meant to hold the big toe, but of course we have the variation where we just support the foot on a wall or a ledge and we use the belt, okay? So we'll take the right leg up first. So stand on the left leg, take the right leg up, either onto the wall or onto the table. If you need balance, if you need support to balance, then bring the back to the wall or use a stand near a wall so you can put one hand on the wall. And then press the top of the left thigh back, extend the right leg forwards, shoulders back and down, lift the chest. And then release, come down, change the leg. So make sure that the right foot is in Tadasana when you bring the left leg up. And keep the top of that right thigh back as you extend the left leg forwards. Hold the belt with the arms extended forwards. Draw the shoulders back, lift the chest. Gaze forwards. If your leg is lower than your eye, than your nose, the bridge of your nose, then look straight forwards in line with the bridge of the nose. Try not to look down towards that foot. And then release, and down you come. We'll take the sideways version. So that right leg is coming out first. I'm not going to mirror image because I'll get completely confused. So the right leg is going out. So bring that right leg almost like a tree pose. Take the leg out to the wall or the ledge. Bring the hand onto the hip. Turn the abdomen, chest to face towards the front. I thought I'd wear a topical top today for Valentine's. Take the left arm out to the side and lift the chest. Again, keep the gaze soft from the back of the eyes, looking forwards. Okay, and then release. I'm going to go over to the other side so I can still face you. Belt under the left foot, and then turn that leg like tree pose. Ooh, it's a bit far. Take that leg up. So you want to see when you look down here that the leg is more or less straight up and down, unless you've got a hip problem, in which case you might need to have the foot a little bit further out so that hip grips in. But in, those of us who've been practicing a while, we can get a bit lazy in this because it's easier with the leg further out. So try and have your leg as straight up and down as possible, allowing for any hip problems. And then you've got to turn away from that raised leg. Take the right arm out to the side. Press the top of the left thigh back, right thigh back. Grip the outer left thigh in and turn the abdomen and chest. Good, and then bring that leg down and release. Now we're going to take Prasarita Padottanasana because I do want to work on some of the poses that came up in the question and answer session. I know I didn't answer all the questions. There were so many brilliant questions. So if you don't mind, I'm going to stockpile them for next time. I've got them all in a folder, and we'll do a longer session next time. But each time we do the Q&A, I'll try and bring in some of the practical work as well to this session. So if you weren't there, that's what we're doing. All right, so Prasarita Padottanasana. So we'll take the feet wide and lining up the heels on the back edge of the mat. Toes turn slightly in. I've got my hands on my hips. I'm going to draw the buttock flesh down first, tops of the thighs back, elbows back. Lift the chest, lift the face. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, come forwards. Don't swing your buttocks back. Go halfway to the floor first. So those of you that rush to put your hands down, wait. Be patient and feel what's happening around the groins, the hips. Have you spread your hips, or can you grip the outer hips in? Grip the outer thighs, grip the outer shins, top of the thigh bones back, top of the shin bones back. Then place the hands under the shoulders without disturbing that action in the legs. Adjust the feet if you need to, but don't go over wide. Take the hands back and bring the head down. And if you need support, blanket, block, whatever it is, take the support under the head. But try not to continually prop yourself up. You have to learn how to extend the sides of the body down and work the legs to get the head to the floor or towards the floor. So there was a question about Shirshasana. Where do I put the head? Well, this is your Shirshasana. And if you're not going upside down, this is a good alternative because the crown of the head should be on the floor now. And lift the shoulders. Grip the elbows towards each other, but don't bring the elbows narrow. So there's an invisible resistance there where the elbow's not going out or in. And that can happen only because your weight is even between the little finger and the thumb side of the hand. And with the crown of the head, when you have the head in the right position, there is a quietness that comes. There's a point on the crown of the head where when you press it, there's a kind of quietness. All right, and then gently raise the trunk, bring the hands forwards. If you need to walk the feet in a little bit, do that. See if you can recreate that grip in the legs as you come up and stand up. Okay, and just stand in Tadasana for a moment and stretch the arms down. So we are going to take Shirshasana today. So either the practice towards it or the full pose, all right? Paying particular attention to where we place the crown of the head and also to how we place our arms, okay? Whether you're doing just the preparation or the full pose, I want to really focus on the whole of the edge of the arm all the way from the elbow through the wrist, little finger side of the hand, pressing evenly down into the floor and not to disturb that as you go up into the pose. In other words, you've got to learn how to control the movement, keep the upper back moving in, okay? So I'm going to get my support. Where has it gone? There it is. I use a pleated blanket. This is for my practice, but you might just want to be on a blanket. And I always advise you not to have too heavy a lift, too thick a lift, because otherwise the body sinks into it. That's definitely not good for the neck. And also check that it's that your elbows are under your shoulders. Okay, and the little finger side of the hand, because you were talking about the neck, I think it was Sarah who asked the question. The little finger should be wrapped around the back of the hand, not inside the hand. That's a no-no for neck people. Okay, the fingers should be interlocked properly. I'm going to take my ring off actually, because that's going to get in the way. Okay, so either the preparation for head balance or full head balance. I'm just going to stay for a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. So do what you can and work on the base of the pose first. Don't be in a rush to go up. It's always the beginners that like to rush, you know, because they get excited or they want to get it over and done with. But actually, the more experienced people, you can tell, because they'll always take a bit of time to get their base sorted out. And if it doesn't feel like you're on the crown of the head, then just take your thumbs and find it. It's a very specific point. And get that point down. Basically, you should be looking at the chest or towards the legs as you start to go up. Then you know you're more or less in the right place. Think of upside down Tadasana. Okay, so you're either going up or you're doing the preparation work, just pressing the forearms down, walking in, lifting one leg up, or you can repeat downward facing dog, or even the last pose we did, Prasarita Padottanasana or Uttanasana. Don't just sit on the couch. Do something. Keep the continuity of the practice. Don't just wait for this to be over, because you don't know, I might go off and do 10 minutes, and then where would you be? So once you go up, you have to assess, has anything shifted? Has anything moved? Have I disturbed the arms? Have I disturbed the alignment of the pose? Has one of my elbows gone out? If that happens regularly, then I would suggest to come down and try again. And really go slowly and work out what point is it that you lose that focus. So it becomes a mindful practice. And you're continuing to press the forearms down, lift the shoulder blades up, press the thoracic spine forwards, but also working the legs. So pushing the heels up, pressing the tops of the thighs back, gripping the outer legs towards each other, lifting the inner groins to the inner heels. All of those actions are important. And make sure that you're looking from the back of the eye socket, that there's a softness around the eyes. If the eyes become hard and you get aggravated in your neck, or sweat, your breath is not smooth, then it may be a sign that you need to come down. Quality over quantity. All right, and then I'll bring you down now, although I'm in right in the right spot. I'd love to stay, but I'm aware that you might not want to stay for 8 minutes, so I'm going to come down. But when you come down, try and keep that control even as you come down. I sometimes have to drop out because of my sacroiliac, but on a good day today, it's nice to come down with more control. So you come down either one leg, both legs, without dropping. And then just just be in Adho Mukha Virasana. You can bend the elbows or bring the elbows back, or put your hands like this on underneath your chin. It's another nice way to release the neck. Okay, and then we'll come up and release from there. Now, one of the questions was about Supta Padangusthasana. So I'm going to take that pose next. Supta Padangusthasana, to open the back of the knee. And I showed a little variation of this, which I call the shoe. And basically, now if you get in a faff with this and you can't work it out from the screen, don't worry. Just hold the belt in a normal place. But the question was how to open the back of the knee. Where's the best place to put the belt? So we're first going to do the shoe, and then we're going to move the belt into 3 different positions so you can feel all of those actions that I was talking about earlier. So the belt goes behind the ankle. It's best done when you're seated up. It goes behind the ankle like that. Then it becomes underneath the sole of the foot and in between the big toe and the second toe, like that. I'll repeat that. Can you see my foot? So it goes under the back of the ankle, under the sole of the foot, like that, and in between the big toe and the first toe. Call it the big toe and the second toe, I should call it, really. Like that. So you've got your straps coming forwards like that, and then you can hold one strap in each hand. I've got one too short there, but like that. So you cross it over, but it's gone behind the ankle, underneath the sole of the foot. Okay. And then you lie down, and you bring your leg up, and then you pull down. And if you've got it right, you'll feel an enormous opening in the back of the knee. Or you'll feel this hamstring lifting towards the back of the knee. Okay, and this kind of spreading feeling. So I'm going to stay here, pulling down. I need to do this a lot for my tight knees. It's brilliant. But you have to kind of surrender into it because it's quite strong, especially those of you that cycle or run or just have generally tight legs. It is very opening. And if you push even more with the heel, so you can see that's my sort of default mode, but if I push even more with the heel and try and get that length, it goes really up the whole leg and the back of the knee starts to fill and open. Okay, so that's one leg done. Let's do the other leg. So I bring that belt around the back of the heel, under the sole of the foot, under the sole of the foot. So then you've got the 2 straps in between the big toe and the second toe. Just cross them like that. Right leg extending, and then pull down on the left. My left leg is tighter actually than my right, believe it or not. So I have to really concentrate on trying to surrender into it. And that's the process. If you resist it, you're just creating more tension. So you have to kind of surrender, ungrit your teeth. We were talking about breath as well. You know, here, if you take deep breath in, deep breath out, and pull down as you breathe out, you start to get more opening in the back of that leg. All right, and then release. Now, the other places were the ball of the toe, the middle of the foot, and the heel bone. So let's go for the heel bone. So this time, put the belt on the tip of the heel, right on the edge of the foot. So can you see, it's not on the arch at all. It's right on that bone. And I'm going to pull straight down. The leg can be at 90 degrees now, and I'm pulling straight down towards the floor. And I can feel that in my sacrum. I can feel that drawing the sacrum on the right side, releasing the muscles around that area. And it feels as if the leg is tractioning into the hip or into the pelvis a bit more. And if I bring my leg further, it just gives me a really nice grounded feeling in that leg and hip. Okay, now move the belt to the roots of the toes. So it's around the ball of the big toe and the ball of the little toe, and pull down. And that's a bit like the shoe. Okay, it's not as effective, but it's definitely targeting the lower leg more than the upper leg. For me, might be different for you. And then finally around the arch of the foot. Now this is the really interesting one, because here, as you pull down on the belt, and I'm using my arms, pull down, push the foot up into the belt without lifting the toes or the heel. Just push the center of the foot up. And this gets the front of the leg, the quadricep, which is good for the person who was asking about Supta Virasana. Okay, so let's do the other leg. So this leg feels really odd now compared to the left leg. Bring the belt around the heel bone. So it's got to go right around the tip of the heel. So it's very precise. It might fall off a couple of times, but if you get it in the wrong place, it doesn't work. Okay, it won't be quite as effective. So again, I'm drawing the belt down, pushing the heel bone up, spreading the roots of the toes. Feeling that traction action in the lower back on the left. And then let's bring the belt around the roots of the toes. Pull down, feel the lower leg. My goodness. Yes, that calf muscle, that pesky calf muscle. And then around the arch. And then I'm pushing the foot up. And I can feel the front of my thigh, quadricep lengthening. Hamstring actually starts to contract more. For me anyway, it's a very different feeling. It's really nice to have those three versions, and plus the shoe as well. So you've got hours of fun with the belt. Okay, and then release. And we'll just take Supta Padangusthasana 2, taking the leg out to the side. And you choose where you want to put the belt. I'm just going to put my belt around the arch. But you choose where you want to put the belt, and then bring that leg out. And if you can catch the big toe, in fact, I'm going to catch my big toe, I think, because there's that Padangusta, foot, angusta, foot, big toe. Supta Padangusthasana 2. So we're taking that leg out to the side, keeping a feeling of rotation or the weight of the pelvis is rolling from right to left, abdomen rolling from right to left. And then come up and release and change sides. I think I've got room. So I'm holding on to the left big toe. This one's a bit more challenging because that leg doesn't release quite as much as the right, so I have to stretch the arm up a bit more. And the right leg, of course, has to push away into the heel. Navel turning from left to right. Oh, look, I can do a nice little cheat there and rest my foot on the thing, but I'm still, even if your foot's resting on the wall, in fact, it's a good way to practice to get more opening here, because you can take away that kind of nervous energy, that effort, and stay in the pose for a bit longer. Okay, and then we'll come up and release and turn to the side and come up. Okay, now Supta Virasana. Supta Virasana is next. Now, if you have knee issues and you can't tolerate going back at all, just take what you need for Virasana, and you can sit in Virasana. If you're going to come back with me, join me, then take what you need for Supta Virasana. So Virasana is this one. Okay, so you're sitting between the heels. The shin bone is pressing down from the head of the knee through the shin into the ankle, into the toes. So there's one straight line there, pressing back, hands down, chest up. So that's Virasana. And then if you need support, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks, you take that support and you sit on that support. Now, if you have to sit on 1 or 2 blocks, you can still recline back. Even if you sit on 3, you can recline back, but I'm not going to show that method today. I'm just going to show a more simple method. So say you needed, this is quite a flat bolster. If you were doing a sort of resting version of the pose, then yes, you have more height so that you don't, you can go into it a bit more quickly. But actually, for many people, they can just lie flat on the floor, and that's quite restful for them because they've got that opening. But initially, you might need to take a bit of support like this. Maybe you sit on a brick to go back, maybe not. I'm going to show without. You do need support for the head, and sometimes a bit more support for the head just takes the edge off going back, because a lot of people throw their head back. I don't normally include this in the guided practice because it's quite a complicated pose to teach, especially when I can't see you. But somebody asked a question about the belt, so I just wanted to show this as well for those that weren't there at the Q&A. The belt is handy for several reasons. It helps to stop the knees from splaying out, and therefore the knees rotating the wrong way, and that jams the back. But I used to use the belt to correct my ankle bones, which used to roll out, which was because of tightness in the groins. And gradually, over time, those ankle bones have moved in. And the worst one was the left one. So what I used to do was I'd put that belt, it goes underneath the shin. It's like being trussed up like a chicken for the oven. Not that I eat meat these days, but or haven't done for a long time. But you know what I mean. So you've got this binding of the belt, and I put the belt so that it's right on the ankle bone, and I pulled it from that ankle bone towards the hip. So it rolled the ankle bone in and helped me to align the foot, which helped with the hip and the groin. And the added benefit of that was, of course, was it stopped the knees from going out quite so much, although I can still push them out, but it's given me a point of reference. If you find that your knees splay out a lot, first of all, are you on a blanket? Because if you're on a blanket, they're going to splay out because you've got a slidey object there. If you find that they do splay out a lot, yes, you can put the belt on. I'm not a big fan of the belt, to be honest. It's very handy to correct a habit, but don't rely on it all the time. Sooner or later, take it away, because you have to learn how to press the shin bones down. That's how you keep the knees there. You've got to press the shin bones down. And if they don't go down because you're very, very tight, what you can do, very simply, is lean forwards, roll your mat, a little bit of a roll, put that underneath the head of the shin so that you're not lifting the knees up high, but there's a bit of a lift. And then as you go back, you can press the shin bones down, and that will stop the knees from going out to the side, okay? So I'm just going to stay here so you can see I don't actually need that, but it's very nice to have it because I've got tight groins there. And I have used it in the past, definitely. Okay, so Supta Virasana, or just sit in Virasana and practice that pose. If you're not able to tolerate either of those because of problems, you need to contact me and I'll give you an alternative for next time. I can suggest things, but I don't know all of your history, so please do contact me if you're unsure. And those that are lying flat on the floor, God bless you, but those that are lying flat on the floor, you can extend your arms over and palms facing the ceiling. Those of us that are on a lift, fold the elbows. Don't have your arms over like this if you're on a lift, okay, because it's not quite balancing in the back. Fold the elbows so the arms are resting on a support, and if that doesn't work for you, just keep your arms by your sides. And we'll just stay for 1 or 2 more minutes. Keep the buttock flesh moving towards the backs of the thighs. See that the lower back spreads. Feel the inner groins moving down, the outer knees moving down. So the little toe edge of the foot is important. That's why in seated Virasana, we spend a lot of time getting that little toe down, because it helps to rotate the outer knee down as well. Inner knee extending forwards. All right, and then you can bring your arms back onto your feet. push into the feet and come up. I used to use the belt a lot to correct the ankles, as I said, but as soon as that correction was better, I got rid of the belt because I just became too reliant on it. I used to use a belt for tying my legs in Padmasana, lotus, and I actually injured myself because I got a bit over enthusiastic with the belt and pulled it a bit too tight one time. And yes, so that took about 12 months to recover from. So you have to be careful sometimes, you know, how much you rely on something just to keep the legs in, because you've got to train the muscles. You've got to train the body as well. Okay, so, oh goodness me, right. We're going to look at one more pose, then we're going to do another inversion. I'm going to do Shavangasana. So take yourself so that the mat is widthways. We're going to do Upavishtakonasana. Upavishtakonasana. And somebody asked a question about this, which I didn't get around to answering. He couldn't make the live anyway, so I will answer this next time. But it was really about the sacrum and how to sit up from the floor. And very commonly for people with very tight hamstrings, this is a difficult pose to sit up in, because unless you get that broadening of the back of the leg, the hamstrings tend to pull the body down. So the way you sort that out is obviously with a bit of a lift. Some people need a lot of a lift. So you have to assess what you need for you. So if when you sit on your support, you're still rolling back, so you're still like this, then make sure you're right on the front edge of the support. And also, one thing that can help is to pull the buttock flesh back so that you come more onto the front edge of the buttock bones, and to use your hands behind you to push into. Those of you that are flexible, though, you want to do almost the opposite of that, because your tendency will be to over push the sacrum in and fall from the sacrum forwards. You need to make sure your buttock flesh is being drawn down towards the floor, which is the correct action. But those of us that are stiffer, if I hold your buttock flesh down and you're stiff, you won't go anywhere. You know, you'll be stuck. So different strokes for different folks. Okay, so put the hands behind you and spread. So actually, I'm too far on my blanket, because you shouldn't be able to see that much. So yeah, so that's a better position there, where you can hardly see the blanket. It means that my buttock bones are right on the edge, and that is allowing the top of my sacrum to go forwards, which is that problem area for some people. Okay, and then see that the center of the thigh is over the center of the knee, center of the shin bone. Can you remember that shoe that we had in Supta Padangusthasana? Can't see my belt. There it is. So you remember we had that shoe under the ankle and in between over the toe. So imagine you've got that shoe on with two belts and you're pulling back, how much opening you'd get in the backs of the legs. So if you wanted to try that, Marilyn, who asked the question, with two belts in Upavishtakonasana, again, you'd improve your Supta Padangusthasana and the back of the knee opening. Okay, we're going to come forwards. So bring the hands forwards, either just in front if you can't move very far forwards, or a bit further if you can go further. And those of you that can, as you come forwards, check in with your hips and your buttocks. Are they still going down? You've got the inner groins and the outer hips moving down simultaneously. So in other words, don't roll onto the front of your pelvis. Keep the abdomen lifting towards the spine, so it's a rounded back as you come forwards, but extend the front body. And then sweep the arms out. Can you catch the big toes with the Angusta grip? Padangusta. And look forwards. And by all means, put your head on the floor, those of you that have got that flexible access there. And then I'm going to relax the neck, let the head drop. Trying to move the back body towards the front body. Don't let the head come back. Keep the head forwards but not up. Shoulders away from the ears. Work the backs of the legs into the floor. Keep the heels extending, but project the big toe mounds. Don't let the feet roll in. And then place the palms under your chest, sit yourself up, and then bring the legs together in Dandasana and stretch the legs forward. All right, now we're going to take Shavangasana because that was a question. Not sure if Sarah's in this session, but that was a question about Shavangasana. I think it was Sarah that asked it, about getting onto the tops of the shoulders, you know, where to place yourself. So I'll just give you a little bit of feedback on that as well. So get your supports ready for Shavangasana, whether it's blankets or blocks. If you're not doing, then you do a pose such as Setu Bandha bridge pose. And if you are doing, and you struggle with this pose, make sure you've got plenty of height. So I'm taking 4 foam blocks, I fold one flap of the mat over, then I put a blanket on that part, and then I fold the mat over like that. Okay, so my head is going to go here. It's not very sticky, so I'm not going to stick to the mat. And my legs are going to go over there, but I'm going to show with a chair, because that's the picture I showed in the Q&A, was my lovely student Jo in her halasana, and how to adjust. So the bolster is here for my buttocks. And if you wanted even more height, you can put another blanket on top, okay? Some of you I know use the belt, so I'm going to show with the belt as well. You can be setting up as I'm getting myself ready to. And if you're not used to using the belt, you measure it so that when you bring your belt around your elbows, the arms are just about beside the trunk. The rule of thumb on this one is if you can't put your belt on behind your back easily, it's too tight. But it should be so that when you put it on behind your back, your arms don't come out wider than this. Okay, that's the general rule. Right, so let me show. So when you go back with a belt, you put the belt on one elbow, so you know where it is. Okay, so the first thing I do when I'm going into my Shavangasana is adjust my hair. Of course, it's much easier when I had short hair. And then when I put my head down, I want to see that the back of the head is just touching the block, so I can feel where the blocks are, but my shoulders are about 2 inches away. I mustn't turn my head and look at the camera, it's not good. They're about 2 inches away from the edge of the block. So you've got to find where the edge of the blocks are. That's why having a neat parcel is very important. And if my back of my head is touching the blocks, then hopefully my shoulders will be on the blocks, but it's going to be different for different people. You may or may not want something under your head. Definitely don't have a thick blanket under your head unless you have been told to do so by a therapeutic teacher for various reasons, such as an ear problem. Then, as you come over into Halasana, you have to watch that you don't disturb that. That has to stay. Like in Shirshasana head balance, don't disturb the arms as you go over. And as soon as you bring your feet to the chair or to the floor, you bring your feet wide, hip width apart, and start to turn like this. So there's that rotation that I talked about. One at a time, turning. And the reason you need the feet apart is because if you have the feet together and you're moving like this, you can fall over. And I've seen it happen. Okay? It hasn't happened to me yet, but it does happen. And then you put your belt on, and then you can use your belt also to push against to get onto the tops of the shoulders. You can interlock your fingers, and then this was the picture that I showed. She was stretching her arms back like this and moving the thoracic spine forwards at the same time, then changing the cross of the fingers, arms back, and tucking under more. All right, and then you bring the feet together, then you bend the elbows. Can you see how long that took? And most of you, what you do is you rushed into the pose. Don't rush. Be in Halasana for a while, get that action. Then when you feel right, I'm as much on the top of my shoulders as I can, I've got my hands as low down the back as I can, then you go up. Okay, so you can all go up now. Hopefully you're already there. But please don't turn your head now. I'm up, so there's nothing more to see. Don't turn your head and look at the camera or the screen when you're doing your Shavangasana preparation and practice. And when you get up, the first thing you do again is, am I pressing my shoulders down? Am I pressing my elbows down? Can I lift my back more? Can I lift my buttocks more? Can I lift my legs? Push the heels up to get the back of the leg in extension. Keep the legs slightly apart, turn the toes in and stretch the heels up more. And then when you bring the heels together, try not to let the heels drop. Keep the inner legs lifting. Don't sink the back into the hands, but use the hands to push the back up. And look then, once you've adjusted the legs and the feet, look at the chest or the abdomen. Keep the outer thighs rolling in, the back of the thigh rolling from inside out. And now bring the right leg down first, either to the chair or the floor, then followed with the left. Just be in Halasana for a moment. Don't take the hands off the back. I'm not coming out just yet. Now raise the right leg and then bring the left leg up. So we're doing Ekapada. And now bring the left leg down first without disturbing the right. Keep that right leg straight up. Then the then the right leg down. Followed by the left leg up. And the right leg up. And then those of you that can, bring both legs down at once, or those, if you have to, bring one leg down at a time. Now, before you come down, if you've got the belt on, release your arms from your back, take the belt off. That way you won't come down onto your belt, and then roll your spine down carefully. And if you've made room behind you, you could slide backwards and rest the shoulders on the floor. Cross your shins on your bolster. And then roll over to your side and come up from the side. And then we'll just take a simple cross legs and turn to the right. So when you've come out of your Shavangasana, don't throw the neck around to try and find that sweet spot. Just let things settle. And as you turn now, turn towards the right, keep the head following the turn of the body. Lift the sternum, move the thoracic spine forwards. Turn the head as much as you can towards the right, but gently. Don't force. Keep the back of the skull in line with the tailbone. Then come back to the front, turn to the other side. And turn the head as far around as you can without making jerking movements. Come back to the front, change the cross of the legs to the other cross. And now we're going forwards. If you've got the chair in front of you, go to the chair. If you haven't got the chair, you can go forwards this way, as long as your knees don't complain. So if you've got on the chair, come forwards and release the forehead down. and then come up and release. So it's Shavasana time. If you need to use something for the backs of the legs, put the backs of the legs on the chair or use the bolster. Otherwise, lie flat. Make sure that you're warm enough. Have a support for the head if you need it. And then lie down, rolling the spine down. Release the legs. Release the arms. And then close the eyes gently and let go. Take a few releasing breaths without force, just slightly deepening the inhalation and exhalation. And if your mind gets agitated at all, after your exhalation, have a slight pause before you inhale again. And just do that 2 or 3 times and then just come to normal breathing. Soft, smooth inhalation and soft, smooth exhalation. And use that focus on the breath to quieten the mind. So breath awareness is your gateway to pranayama. Pranayama is your gateway to the more subtle practices such as concentration, meditation, and absorption. So a good place to start is just by being aware of the breath. So then you can either stay here in Shavasana for as long as you wish to, or following me, bring the hands onto the belly and bend your knees, and then roll to your right side. And then slowly come up from the side and just bring your hands in front of your chest for a moment. And then gently release the head, release the hands. And that's all for today. Thank you very much. I'm off to eat chocolate now. My Valentine's present from my lovely man. So have a great day, have a great Valentine's afternoon, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.